UFC 295 happened last night. Results were decent. The card was decent. I'm going to go through the main card, let you know my thoughts. Is it a case of Mark Goddard striking again with an early stoppage? Alex Pereira calls out Adesanya. Adesanya reacts with a childish meme online. We'll have a look at that. And we'll just have a look at the rest of the card because I thought it was a really good card. We'll start off with Diego Lopez, Pat Sabatini. Diego Lopez is a really exciting fighter. I think this guy is going to be big in the future. His introduction into the UFC was a great fight against Movsar Evloev. That fight was just submissions, on the feet, blasting each other back and forth. I thought it was a really good fight. A lot of people weren't happy with the decision going Evloev's way, but Diego Lopez came back, another bout, armbar, boom. I think Pat Sabatini tried to depend on his ground game way too much. He looked very flat-footed. He actually did catch Diego Lopez with a little left hook that I thought was kind of strange when it happened. I was like, whoa, what's going to happen here? Is it going to be one of these massive upsets? Because I think Diego Lopez was clearly a fan favorite going into this one, but he got the job done in the first round, and he seems like a decent guy. He seems like a great fighter, and the fans already seem to be behind him. And these are the type of guys that I want to put my weight behind because, you know, there's no shit talk. He gets in there, he gets the job done. As I said, that first fight in the UFC was insane. And in terms of skill, I think this guy is off the chart. There's no limit to where he can go, and I'm looking forward to see where he goes from there. Matt Frevola versus Benoit Saint-Denis was a cool fight. That was a cool fight. You know, there was a military aspect to it. Both of them have served. Benoit Saint-Denis seems to be a legit fighter. There was really good respect shown between them. We had military personnel walking out with them. They were saluting each other. I thought, this is cool. This is cool. I'm really liking this. We got in there and Frevola looked very powerful. He looked very agile. Saint-Denis was like on his feet, kind of static, I think, almost. But when the rubber met the road, Saint-Denis stuffed the takedown, and whilst Frevola was trying to escape, almost not even looking, he got caught with that high kick. Bang. Got put out, and it was a strange one because I really do like Matt Frevola. I think he's really good. So Benoit Saint-Denis is a guy who's going to come up in that 155 division. I think that is a stacked division. If we go back to the prelims, there was some incredible fights there that were at lightweight as well. A couple of more fights under their belt. You know, we're going to rejig that top 10, and I think we'll see a couple of these lads up there. So that was a really enjoyable fight. The Jessica Andre Mackenzie Dern fight. What can I say about that? First thing I'd say is I don't like Jessica Andre's face. She annoys me. Mackenzie Dern, what can you say about that? During the week I saw her talking in press conferences and interviews about how her stand-up game had improved so much, and it didn't look like that last night. It looked like she was a headless chicken, and I think that there's corrections to be made there just in terms of when she was standing orthodox and she was popping out the jab, it looked decent. Even though her chin was 16 feet up in the sky, it looked decent. But as soon as she unloaded that right hand in behind the jab, she was flopping all over the place and she was just going to get caught by anybody. And I don't know whether that's something that you can learn or can be taught, because she seems to be a kind of a chin up in the air type of fighter. I think that there was a discredit done to her in terms of people talking about her. I know Dean Thomas was laughing at the idea of Jason Perillo coaching her, but she was catching Andre. She did put her head back a few times. I think that with a little bit more containment, she might be able to grow into it, but you got to keep that chin down. And it's always a confusing one when high-level BJJ practitioners don't immediately go to that when they're getting rocked all over the place. And by the time we got to the finish in that fight, she was getting her head bobbled all over the octagon, and it was over. It was over maybe 2 minutes before the ref actually stepped in and called it. That is what it is. That was an okay fight, I guess. Now we get to the two big ones. Palavovich and Tom Aspinal. I was worried for Tom Aspinal in the run-up to this fight. Every interview, every press conference, I felt that the energy was extremely low. He kept referencing the fact that Palavovich was this big scary guy, even though he's bigger and scarier in terms of skill level. I don't know whether it was a self-deprecation thing or whether it was a genuine fear. He did say something in the aftermath of the fight about the previous 2 weeks been really uncomfortable and a really scary time for him, being out of his comfort zone. And he did tell people, listen, if you have a dream and you think that you mightn't achieve it, take the chance. You never know what can happen. And that says to me that his confidence was low for the last 2 weeks running up to this fight, but it shouldn't have been, because when we got in there, we saw, even though he went in there heavier than he's ever gone in there, I believe, his movement was insane. The speed was insane. He did get clipped by Palavovich and he did get hurt because he put his hand to his jaw and he kind of pointed at Palavovich as if to say, dude, that was a rocket. But he followed that up with some slick movement, inside, outside. Double tap, boom, clips him on the forehead. Second double tap, puts him down, and a couple of hammer fists. And he becomes the interim champion. And you love to see it. I championed this guy back when I was talking about Paddy Pimblett in terms of who you want to look up to. Is he the most exciting personality outside of the octagon? Absolutely not. But he's the type of guy that you can actually look at and say, yes, I can relate to this guy. This guy is legit and he deserves it. Inside the octagon, the skill level is legitimately through the roof. I hear people talking about Cyril Gane and his movement and his kickboxing. I think Tom Aspinall is leaps and bounds ahead of him. So after doing what he did to Palavovich, who is one of the scariest knockout artists in the UFC, after he pretty much made it look easy last night, you know, he gets on the mic afterwards, gives an inspirational speech, as I said, about following your dreams and not to be scared, and then dedicates the belt to his father, who's been there with him since the very beginning. He walks over and he hands over the belt, and it was a real emotional, organic and beautiful moment, and you actually love to see it. You love to see it. You can't come away from watching Tom Aspinall get that belt and have nothing but respect for him. Simple as that. Where does he go from here? Does he wait for John Jones to come back? What way does that fight go? Given the fact that Tom Aspinall is so powerful, so quick, so skilled, and we know that he went in there heavy last night, and we know that he went in there in short notice, and he still looked amazing. Imagine what he would look like with a full camp. Maybe trimming down a few pounds, and the confidence of actually beating Palavovich going into a John Jones fight. I think he wins that. I think it's going to be extremely hard to beat Tom Aspinall. If you're on the feet, he's going to be quicker. If you're on the ground, he's going to be a better grappler. And dude is 6'5", 260 pounds. So listen, respect to Tom Aspinall. I'm absolutely delighted for him. Now we get to the main event. Jiri Prochazka, Alex Pereira. Interesting fight, very interesting fight. I made a comment in my last video about Alex Pereira being not overrated, but you know, a lot of weight gets put behind him by the UFC and by the media. And he won the belt again last night. He won the belt again last night, and he is the champion at light heavyweight. And it's extremely interesting because the fight was essentially a game of chess. You know, both of them were feeling each other out. Pereira was landing very heavy calf kicks that Procházka didn't like. And in the end of the first round, he of course went for the takedown, secured the takedown. Didn't do much damage. I think Pereira did a good job defending down there. I think only maybe 1 or 2 elbows landed, and they weren't flush and they weren't like damaging. So that was good again for Pereira to get up from there, and that gained his confidence. He looked a little bit to me like he was out of energy at the end of that first round, and even coming into the second round, I'm like, is he tanked? But I guess that's just the energy that he puts off, because he did clip Jiri Prochazka when they engaged. He clipped him with a right hook, I think, and then a left hook, and then engaged in these elbows from the side, and then it gets really contentious. And then you have Mark Goddard stepping in early, I think. You know, a lot of people are speculating that that was an early stoppage. I did see some other angles of the knockout, and it did look like when Procházka fell backwards that he was out almost. You know, so maybe it was a brilliant stoppage by Goddard, or maybe it was a really early one. I think we're going to have to look at it a little bit more over the coming days to see that. My initial thought was it was an early stoppage, because Procházka jumped up off the ground and he looked cohesive. He looked like he was in order. He did come out after the fight and say that he was out, and that it was a good stoppage. I think that was a very intelligent and professional way of coming at that interview, and I think he did himself justice in the aftermath of that. Pereira wins the belt. He wins another belt, you know, first at middleweight, now at light heavyweight. And we have Jamal Hill in the crowd, and the camera is like really centering in on him, because I guess they want to set up a Jamal Hill Pereira fight. And before he even got on the mic, I said to my son, the next fight for Pereira is going to be Adesanya. 100%. Adesanya is talking about not coming back for a long time, 2027. This will get him off the couch. As I predicted, Alex Pereira jumped on the mic and called out Adesanya. And I don't know whether the call out was a genuine, I'm trying to be nice to you call out, or whether it was like a snaky little jab. I don't know. Because he mentioned that years ago, before he became what he became, he was kind of down and out, kind of a deadbeat in a bar, and he was encouraged by a man to go and follow his dreams. And he said, now I want to do the exact same. So is that alluding to the fact that Israel is down and out, deadbeat? Possibly. How do you think Israel Adesanya responded to the new light heavyweight champion of the world? Well, he did this. He posted up a picture of him on the ground with a little bit of hair going, LOL, rent free, I sleep good, let it go. What? I don't know how many videos I've done about how cringe and mentally disturbed this guy is. LOL, rent free, I sleep good. You can't be rent free, bud. You spent the whole week betting against Pereira publicly to show Procházka is going to get the job done. Pereira isn't able to do it. Then you spoke at length and got a bunch of headlines about he's the best guy in the middleweight division and everyone should be on their knees thanking me. So I think the rent-free bit is an inversion, and I think that this will be the case for getting Israel Adesanya back in the octagon. I think it's going to be pretty harsh on Jamal Hill. I don't know when he's going to be back from his injury, but I think if the call comes from Dana White, Israel Adesanya will jump back into that octagon because, as I said, his head is spinning. He's thinking about nothing else, only getting battered by Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira. And we know that the guy is suffering. So listen, he'll be in that octagon. He'll fight Alex Pereira. I predict that right now. So yeah, that's it. There you have it. UFC 295. I actually really enjoyed it. There wasn't too much anticipation going in there. You know, the John Jones Stipe Miocic fight was, I guess, a big seller because I heard the commentator saying that this was a massive sellouting event for Madison Square Gardens. I'm not sure whether it was because of Tom Aspinall or Jiri Prochazka. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that it was for John Jones and Stipe Miocic. And I think what we got was probably as good, if not better, in terms of enjoyment. We got to see Tom Aspinal fulfill his dream, get the UFC belt around his waist, and you get to see Alex Pereira doing it again and again, and in the process calling out Israel Adesanya and highlighting the insecurities the man holds, jumping straight online, tweeting like a 14-year-old girl. You love to see it. Decent card. Let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you. Cheers.